It's kind of difficult to read with the way the picture is and broadcasted. Do we have the originals? And I can look at the originals and tell you.
Certainly. Let me show you what I've marked as, what's been marked as 300 and 301, and see if you can identify it.
It doesn't appear so.
So that answers our question. It was not picked up that day, was it?
That's correct.
Okay. Detective, you did not go into the backyard, did you, to take pictures?
I wasn't the one taking pictures, and I don't recall going into the backyard.
You don't recall anybody going in the backyard?
I don't recall myself going into the backyard.
Do you recall anybody else going into the backyard?
No, I don't know.
Were any of the pictures that the state showed you of the backyard?
No.
I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 256 and ask you, what was the purpose for taking this picture?
Document evidence of the butter knife.
Okay. Was it also to document evidence of the drain and the food in the drain?
Mostly for the evidence marker of the knife.
Isn't it true, Detective Maher, that you wrote in your report that Miss Jennifer Rosenbaum told you that in the drain was the chicken that had been spit up?
Yes.
And she asked you to collect it, and you said it deteriorates, so you can't collect it, correct? Thank you. Oh, one more question, Detective Maher. Were you aware that Jennifer Rosenbaum has arthritis?
Objection, relevance.
They put in the icy hot, Your Honor.
I don't know. Well, he can answer, that's fine.
Were you aware?
No, I was not.
Thank you.
Very briefly, after the search warrant was executed, were the Rosenbaums allowed to return into their home?
Yes, they were allowed to move freely around the home.
So once you all left, they had free access to their home, correct?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you. You can step down.
Yes, sir.
And any objections for this being excused?
Nothing.
And you're free to go. The state calls next witness.
State calls Jennifer Green.
Jennifer Green.
Yes. You raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Put your hand down. Please state your true and correct name for the record.
Jennifer Green.
And what kind of work do you do?
I am a crime scene investigator, latent print examiner with Henry County.
And tell us a little bit more about that. What do your job duties include?
Our job duties are to go out to various types of crime scenes and process them. And depending on the type of crime scene, we'll do photographs, we'll do videos, we'll do sketches. We process evidence for fingerprints, we'll collect DNA, we package evidence, we'll submit evidence to different places if they're needed to go, like the GBI or ATF for further evaluation. We also compare and analyze latent prints.
And did you have any role in the investigation regarding Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
And what was your role in this in the investigation?
I was requested by Cobb County DA's office to come do a presumptive test for blood on 2 items that they were looking at that they saw reddish-brown stains on.
Okay. And you said the Cobb County DA's office, correct?
Yes.
And do you recall when that request was made of you?
That was February 7th, 2018.
And did you still have access to the evidence that they were requesting some additional testing be done on?
No, so I did not take custody of the evidence at all. I brought the presumptive kit to the room that they were looking at, so the evidence stayed in the custody of the property and evidence technician, and I just took a sample to test it to see if it was positive or negative.
And was the evidence technician, were they present the entire time that you were doing your testing?
Yes.
And did you take some photographs during the testing that we were talking about?
I did not.
You did not? Do you know if any photographs were ultimately taken?
I do not.
Okay. Do you recall what the photographs, do you recall what the towel itself looked like?
Yes, there was a tan towel.
Okay. I'm going to show you states 306. Do you recognize what we're looking at in states 306?
That is a bag with the case number on it.
Okay. And is that, do you see state, if you look behind you, do you see states 302?
Yes,
And is that a photograph of states 302?
yes,
And is this the bag that you did some additional testing on the contents?
well, the contents were out of the bag when I did the testing.
Okay, but this is the same bag that they came from?
Possibly.
Possibly, okay. Do you recall, do you recognize states 309, and 310, and 311?
Yes,
What do you recognize them to be?
that's the tan towel with the reddish brown stain on it.
Okay. And is that the towel that you did some additional testing on?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move to admit states 309, 310, and 311 into evidence.
Admitted.
I'm going to show you on the screen what's been admitted as states 309. What are we looking at here that was of interest to your portion of the investigation?
That is the tan towel, and you can see, I could see two different areas on this spot with the reddish brown stains.
There's a pointer right there on the ledge if you want to point to the areas that you were talking about.
Right here and right here.
Okay. And now you said you did some presumptive testing. Tell us a little bit more about that.
We use a LimPV, which is the brand, bloodstain green quick check test. And what that is a presumptive test for mammal blood. It does react with many different types of mammal blood, so it's not specific for human blood, but it does give us an idea of, yes, this is testing positive for blood. It needs to go for further testing for DNA and to make sure it's actually human blood. It reacts with hemoglobins in blood.
So this test that you do is simply the first step, and if it's positive, then you send it somewhere else.
Yes.
Where would you send that?
If it does come back positive, it would go to the GBI, and they would do further testing to make sure it's human blood and then to tell the source.
I'm going to show you states, what's been admitted as states 310. What are we looking at in states 310?
That's just a close-up photograph of the reddish brown stain.
And how about states 311?
And that's a close-up photograph of the other reddish brown stain.
After you did the presumptive test, was the towel returned to the evidence bag?
Yes.
Now, did you have any further role in the investigation of this particular case?
No, sorry, I did not.
Nothing further.
No questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And you're excused.
Thank you.
It's just an objection. Hearing no objection, you're excused. Okay, state will call its next witness.
State calls Michelle Johnson.
Michelle Johnson.
Please raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
Yes.
Please lower your hand and have a seat. Can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Michelle Johnson, Michelle Johnson.
And Ms. Johnson, how are you employed, ma'am?
I'm a crime scene tech at the Henry County Police Department,
And how long have you been a crime scene tech with Henry County Police Department?
nearly 6 years.
Okay. And what do your duties require you to do?
When we go out to scenes, we document scenes with photographs. We'll also be responsible for sometimes fingerprinting and all the collection of evidence and ensuring the proper chain of custody.
And at some point in November of 2015, were you called out to the Piedmont Henry Hospital?
Yes.
Why were you called out there?
Can you repeat that?
Why were you called out to the hospital?
Oh, I was informed that there was that there was an infant that I needed to take photographs of.
And when you got out there, what did you do, ma'am?
When I first got there, Sergeant Peden asked me to photograph a 4-year-old.
And do you recall that 4-year-old's name?
Yeah,
What was her name?
Millie Place.
And I'm showing you it's been marked as State Exhibit. Starting at 3:15. Did you have to do any other photographs besides taking photographs of Millie Place in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
What other photographs did you take?
I took photographs of Layla Daniel.
And was those all at Piedmont Henry?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was present when you were taking these photographs?
Present with Miller, there was 2 social workers in the room with me.
Prior to going in and taking photographs of Millie, did you have any information in regards to the case at all?
No, very limited.
And in regards to Layla, did you have any information?
No.
When you say very limited, what was the limited information that you had when you went into the room with Millie Place?
Miller, I was just asked to see if there was any injuries or bruises or anything on her, and just to take photographs of them.
And did you have any conversation with Millie when you went in the room to take photographs of her?
Very little.
Okay. What was the conversation that you had with Millie?
Well, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. No, I didn't have a conversation with her. I just heard her repeat something to one of the social workers.
Okay. Was that during the time that you were in there?
Yes, ma'am.
And was the social worker asking her questions?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you hear Millie say?
I just heard her repeat that someone called Anthony had touched her Lulu. That's what she referred it to.
Did you have any conversation with Millie in regards to the bruises on her?
No, ma'am, very little.
Did you ask her any questions about them?
No, ma'am.
When you say very little, what does that mean?
I would just ask her where, could I look for bruises and where they were. I think it was the social workers that was doing all the questions.
Okay. And I'm showing you right now what's been marked as State's Exhibit 315 to 340. If you could take a look at these and tell me if you recognize them.
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize States 315 through 340?
There was the photographs I took of Miller.
And do they accurately depict the photographs that you took?
Yes.
I'd ask that States Exhibits 315 through 340 be tendered into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
Are you done? I can show
I
you.
just asked for the approach just briefly.
Okay. Can you take a second to find out?
Yes, Judge. Judge, are we looking for those? May I continue with this witness? On the ones that have already been tendered with the States 315 through the States 339.
They all been tendered and admitted. 313.
315.
I'm sorry, 314, 315 through 340. I'd ask that they be tendered into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
And then I'm
The
going
ones
to,
that you're concerned about have been taken up for
yes,
now.
yes, they have, Judge.
Okay, they're admitted.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as States number 350. .341 through States Exhibit 357. If you can look at these. Do you recognize those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and are they a fair and accurate depiction of what you observed on November the 17th at Piedmont Hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to start with, if we could get the lights showing what's marked as States number 315. What is depicted in States 315?
That's a picture of the side of Miller's face.
Did you know any bruising or injuries in States Exhibit 315?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could, I think there's a pointer in front of you with the blue handle on it.
Oh,
If you could just point out what area we're speaking of, and if you step down, just watch your step when you step down.
okay. I'm sorry, am I not using this one?
Oh, you can, oh, it's not a laser, it's old school. You just have to stand up and point.
Okay, I thought you said a later one, sorry. Okay. There was one of discoloration.
And if you could keep your voice up so the court reporter and the rest of the jurors can hear you as well.
There was a discoloration on the forehead on this side.
And State's number Exhibit 316.
There's some little red marks on the neck.
And State's Exhibit 317. What are we looking at here?
There was a little discoloration on the earlobe.
And State's Exhibit 318.
This was a red area, picture of a red area on the side of the face.
And State's Exhibit number 319.
This is just a close-up picture of the little discoloration on the bottom of the earlobe.
And State's Exhibit number 322.
This picture is a close-up on the scale of the picture with a discoloration on the earlobe.
And State's Exhibit 323.
This was a picture of the back of her ear with a little red area.
And State's Exhibit 324.
And this is a close-up picture with the scale of the red area on the back of her ear.
And State's Exhibit 325.
This was a close-up picture of the discoloration on the forehead.
And State's Exhibit 327.
This just was an overall picture of a face, the side of the face.
And State's Exhibit 328.
This was a closer picture of some discoloration on her neck.
And State's Exhibit 334. What are we looking at here?
This photograph was the top of Millie's head, and there was a scaly place right here.
And State's Exhibit 335.
That's a close-up picture of the scale at the top of the head with that scaly patch.
And State's Exhibit 336.
This is just an overall picture of, close-up picture of front of the body.
What part of Millie's body did you take pictures of?
All of it.
In State's Exhibit 337.
Just a picture of the right arm.
And State's Exhibit 339.
A closer picture of the top of her hand. The right hand.
And State's Exhibit 340.
A picture of the palm of her hand.
And State's Exhibit 341. What are we looking at here?
A close-up picture with a scale of a little red area on one of the fingers.
And what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 351?
Just a photograph of the legs.
In State's Exhibit 357.
This was a close-up photograph with an area underneath her ankle bone.
In State's Exhibit number 81, what is depicted in that? This has already been entered in previously into
This was just a close-up photograph of a buttocks with different areas on, and an area on the side of the back.
And Your Honor, if we may approach just a moment.
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 334 335 and 346. If you can look at those and tell me if you recognize them.
Yes, ma'am.
And do they fairly and accurately depict what you observed on November the 17th?
Yes, they do.
And I'm also going to show you State's Exhibits 368, 69, 70, and 71, if you could look at those. And do they fairly and accurately depict what you observed on November the 17th?
Yes, ma'am.
State would ask that State's Exhibits 344 through 346 be admitted into evidence, and States 368 through 371 be admitted into evidence.
Admitted.
And if you could tell me what we're looking at in States 344.
This was just a photograph of the front of Miller.
And did you observe any injuries or bruising in this
I
photograph?
did.
And if you could just point that out.
There was this discoloration on the inside of her arm, and you can see a bit on the side, a bit of a discoloration on the hip.
And States 346, what's depicted in there?
This is a close-up picture with the scale of the discoloration on her arm.
And States 368, what is depicted in that?
This was a close-up picture of the hip, left side of the hip.
And States Exhibit 369,
This is a close-up picture of scale of the area on her hip and the side of the back.
after you were done taking the photographs of Millie, did you have any more involvement in this case?
Yes.
And what other involvement did you have?
I then had to take photographs of Layla.
And besides taking photographs of Millie and Layla, did you also take photographs of the home as well?
Yes. No.
Any other involvement in this case?
No.
Nothing further at this time.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Step down. Watch this one. And any objection to this witness being excused?
Now from the state now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please call our next witness.
Oh, Judge, the next witness is going to be pretty lengthy.
I see. All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take our lunch break now. We'll see you back here at 1:15. 1:15.